What's up, guys? It's desRow. We're back with Remax episode 5. This week I have wonderful 3 new guests with me. Demuslim, Harstem, and Rifkin. We're here to talk about WCS Region Lock, who's the best European tournament, roster changes, WCS EU round of 16 groups, a lot of stuff, and hopefully we'll get done with everything within 2 hours. And also the questions. If you have any questions, you can go on Reddit and ask us about the questions you have. We'll also be talking about PvT strategy, just because the Muslim has been doing well lately versus players like Welmu and Harstem. Recently made it to the round of 16, also versus Terrans such as Jackchi. So I was really excited to have them on board to talk about PvT. So the Muslim, what have you been up to lately besides kicking asses?
TVP actually, like a week ago, I was doing really well in it, and I even spoke to Harstem saying like, "Oh yeah, I feel really good in this matchup. Like it's by far my best." But the last week, I don't know if mana just got into my head or something, but I've been doing terribly against Protoss for the last week or so. So I think people have just figured out my style, which was doing like a little early push. But TVP in general, like balance-wise, I think it's a pretty good matchup right now. Like it's not so cheesy, and both players can play pretty standard, get to a certain spot, and I think the better player usually does always win in that matchup.
Okay. We'll talk about it in details in the second part of the show. Arstem, what have you been up to lately?
I don't know. I've been playing a bit.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been playing a bit.
Yeah?
I don't know. I went outside a few times even this week, I think. Once or
Wow.
twice. Yeah, so it was a good week for sure.
Oh, Harstem, they've picked you on the stream for something.
Oh, crap. Yeah,
Oh.
because I'm the group winner, man. Look.
You won your group?
Yeah, I won. Man, of course I won.
Who was in your group?
Jakchi, Chaos, and Vortex.
Oh, wow,
I
okay.
can't believe Josh was the first one out. That blew my mind.
Yeah, show them out once again, man.
Yeah?
Alright, let's. Okay, what happened in my week? Rest, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just played WCS and I was kind of happy with that, and then I just played some other stuff that didn't go too well, and now I'm here.
What kind
And,
of other stuff that didn't go too well?
The MSI Beat It tournament,
Oh.
and who's the best European? I went 0-4.
Oh.
I lost 0-2 to Uthermal and 0-2 to Vortex.
Oh.
And in the MSI Beat It, I beat Defel 2-1, lost 1-2 to first, and then had to DQ against Hian because I had to play something else.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
I mean, round of 16 is like really good. Plus, now you have a good chance of making round of 8 since you're on a
What do you
roll lately. So we had a dream.
What do you mean, good chance? It's like almost for sure, man. I'm gonna make BlizzCon.
It's your Harstem, desRow. Come on, deal with it.
Yeah. Do you have enough points, or is your
Yeah.
chance? Yeah.
If I
If he
win
wins, man.
WCS EU, yeah. If I
You-
win WCS EU and I get some points at Stockholm, I'm basically in.
No problem.
Okay.
Oh, dude, I think you got Mini Razor in your group with you.
No, I think he got.
Oh, wait. Wait, how are they doing this? Is this 2 groups of 4 here, or is this the top 8?
Wait, should
Top
we just
16.
talk over their stream right now, just so
Yeah.
give some commentary?
I mean,
You wanna go
oh,
on with the show?
you're with Mini Razor, dude.
Oh man, that's so
Uh,
amazing.
That sucks.
Well, look, if you look at the other players that you could have got out of those second places,
Oh,
San,
God.
4GG, or MMA, and you got Mini Razor, that's actually, like, that's kind of crazy. But Mini Razor, I forgot that he came first in his group, because he blitzed through a group with Snoot in and stuff.
Stardust and Snut. Yeah, he's quite good CVP.
So, Rifkin, what have you been up to lately?
Not sleeping, man.
Yeah?
So much to do for casting this past week. We got back, because, I met you at Toronto and stuff. As soon as we
Yeah.
landed, first thing I had to do was start organizing groups and getting things sorted, last minute invites, people needing to swap out. Like, I had talked with Snoot at IEM, and he was like, yeah, I'm so stoked for the tournament. I'll see you next week. And then as they land in Vancouver, it's like, oh, so by the way, I can't play anymore at WEC. And I was like, great. So back to the old grindstone.
Yeah. It sucked that Snoot had to cancel. What was the story beyond Bunny? Was he sick? Is that why he didn't play in it?
I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not trying to make Bunny look bad or anything by saying this, so please don't misunderstand this. But we had gotten halfway through talking about him playing, and then he just stopped responding. So
Oh.
I assume that was probably right around when he took off and started flying around. And it was just, it's so hard to get on Skype if you don't have a solid internet connection, right? So I don't put any blame on him, but it was just kind of this thing where he just kind of fell off, so I don't really know what the follow-up was.
That usually happens like with Bunny between ladder games, because when he speaks to you, that's actually like when he's just searching for ladder and alt tab. Like, so you just like, I'm not even kidding. Like, you speak to Bunny like when he's searching for a game. That's when you are friends with Bunny, because that guy plays all the freaking time. So, that could actually be it.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, like I said, no ill will against him or anything. I just assumed something more important was happening, so I was like, yeah, oh well. Would have loved to have had him, but not the end of the world that we didn't. We still got some really good games of the players we did get.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think there were so few 2-0s. Everything went to the ace match, like group stage, finals, even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch. We'll get back into it at the end of the WCS region log segment. And by the way,
Yep.
boys, we've made it. Parting retweeted the show. We're now officially accepted amongst the Koreans. No, but seriously.
Something because you tagged Harstem, dude.
Yeah, he's in love with those lips. All right. Region locking. The Blizzard came out with the news last week that they were gonna region lock basically WCS EU and NA, where you just have to live there. So you need a valid visa to live. A visa for NA. Are you happy, Harstem?
Yes, I just got happy, man.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Don't forget extended thermalance.
yeah.
Dude, your group's like really quite good for you, I think.
Are you
You
the
can say
group?
it, Ben. You can say it. I know what you wanted to say.
Are you the group with the least
Well-
Koreans right now?
I can't speak shit because Mini Razor like fucking owned me to get here, so
Yeah.
No, but I mean happy.
I think Harstem. Here's the thing, like Harstem's putting on his good face, and he's really excited for the group, and I don't blame him. But I think Mini Razor's gonna kick your ass, dude. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I think so as well. He's gonna 2-0.
really.
Yeah.
Mini
Like,
Razor's
he
really
always-
good, dude. Like
I
I don't
do
know
think
when it
Mini Razor is
happened.
good.
He just got really good.
I didn't really like. I've got to admit, I didn't really think much of him, and then I had to play him in WCS, and admittedly, I wasn't playing good at that period of time, but he had definitely played a lot better than I thought he was. So it was like, holy fuck! I just didn't know who Mini Razor was. I think I got him mixed up with another guy who began with like Mini or something.
So, how many non-Koreans are left? Do you think you get an all-foreigner group? There's Vortex.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know who the fourth guy is.
Yeah.
Oh, let's
I
see.
thought it was
let's
one move
see.
for a second, and it was
Come
the
on,
second last
show
one.
it to me, boys.
I think Yoda's left.
No, Yoda's gone already.
Bunny. It's Bunny.
Quit
It's
teasing
gotta-
with
is
the
it Bunny?
paper.
Dude, it's Bunny.
It's funny.
Ah, okay, Bunny is good. Very good.
Bunny's fucking good, man.
Rip Harstem.
Yeah, I think it's okay. 2 Terrans and a Zerg. That's pretty straightforward to practice
Yeah,
for.
but Harstem's really good in PvP, man. Like,
Yeah.
give Harstem a few Protoses in that group's mishmash, but now it's fucking hard.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I think it's quite hard this group. Right.
I
Let me
think
tell my
Bunny.
parents real quick.
You gonna tell your dad? Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess we can talk about it now. Which one is the group of that for WCS round of 16 for EU? You have
See. Wait.
I can link it to you. Hold on. Here.
They're all pretty fucking hard.
It's like this weird even spread. Like there's not one that I would say is like the most scary, but they all have like a really good balance to it, which I actually, as a fan, am looking forward to.
When you put 4GGMC Stardust Daishi,
Group A is the hardest, I think.
you think?
Yeah.
Is it because MC and Stardust are predictable?
If I put myself in either one of those groups, I'd
Yeah.
find it really hard to beat any one of those players.
Yeah.
In fact, I say that about all of these groups. These are all like top 16 quality caliber players, but
Yeah.
like TLO, San, Vortex, Yoda, which two do you think would come out of that group? Like San, Yoda? And then you're eliminating Vortex, TLO, like they're going out. Like that's a really hard group.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder if that's the most stacked EU has had. I want to compare it real quick.
Well, Snoot didn't make it to this stage, which is a big deal.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising.
I think it's the most stacked. Like if you look at last year, or if you look at last season rather, maybe I guess you had Todd and Livezerg that aren't as good as this season, and then Nerd Show as well from last
Wait,
season.
Nurture's good.
I'm
Are you talking about top
I'm-
32 or what?
I'm comparing to round of 16 from last season. So last season you had people like Todd, Livezerg, and Nurcho, and Grubby, I guess, who weren't as good as this season. I feel like this season is the most stacked for round of 16.
I would probably agree with you.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Like the snoots and stuff are missing though. You have to remember that there's good people that are just not going to make it. And does that mean the players are better now? Some people played surprisingly well, like Mini Razor. I didn't expect him to do as well. Who else? I think everybody else is pretty predicted. Jack G going out to Harstem. I think that was a big deal too.
I think it's pretty safe to say, like, out of all the players who got here to the round of 16, Mini Razor's got to be, like, I'd say the biggest upset in terms of who you would just assume, right? Like, there's the stable players like MMA and stuff, like, you know they're going to make the round of 16, right? I mean, this guy makes it to the end of every season. Mini Razor, in the last year, has just been performing so well. Like, I'm really excited he got to the round of 16.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting. It was weird. Like, he went to NA for MLG, but he practiced on Korean servers, so I guess it paid off. We had that discussion when Harstem was on last time. But yeah, and then he came back to EU, and he's been doing really well since, so... It's definitely an up-and-comer. Like, maybe next year he'll be a contender for Best Foreigner.
Who's this you talking about?
Mini
He's going
Razor.
back to school now. Like, last year was his year off, so, and now he's going back to school.
Wow, okay, I'm trying to hype him up, and then you just fucking killed the hype.
I'm not saying it's not possible, man. Vortex and Valmu all are going to school. Like, what can I say?
Yeah.
I think it's sometimes good for you. Keeps the brain active and stuff. And thinking about StarCraft 2 all the time, like, even if you do play it full time, I think it's good to have little breaks now and then.
I guess it really depends, like, how busy your schedule is with school, because you can take, like, not a lot of courses, and then you can take a lot of courses. If you don't take it too intense with school, then yeah, I agree. But, yeah. So that's round of 16. Any final thoughts about your group, Harstem?
Okay. I'm not sure, like, I think I play against Bunny first, right? It's normally number 1 against number 4, number 2 against number 3, right? I think Bunny would be the favorite to make it out of this group. If we look at performance recently. And I think if you would ask most people, I think Happy is considered better as me as well. So it would mean Bunny 1, Happy 2. I've been performing a bit better than Mini. So me 3, Mini 4. It's funny because the group is kind of upside down. In reality, however, I think Happy is going to have a very tough time against
with
me
Mini?
and Mini. Yeah, against me and Mini. And I think Bunny is going to have a tough time against Happy. I'm not sure how good Bunny is against Protoss right now. I'm not sure how good his TPT
he beat
is.
Huck
But...
and he beat Hero?
and he played quite well against Zest, actually. So
oh yeah, that's
he's
what I
good
meant. Yeah,
TPT.
versus Zest. Okay.
Yeah. So it's
Bunny is good, man. I don't know how
he's
Mini
definitely
Razor.
the favorite.
Mini Razor is going to be good against. I think everybody in that group knows that Happy's predictable, and so they can play around Happy. But then you three against each other. I think Bunny's capable of beating Mini Razor, and your PvT is very good, but I think Bunny is probably the second best foreigner right now. Yeah.
Is it fair to say that the only person that can beat Bunny in that group is Harstem?
Happy, I think has the best chance.
Yeah? Okay.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Like, Happy actually has... I think Happy Bunny will be close, but I think the other two players will do much better against Happy than Bunny.
Yeah, I think so as well. That's kind of what I was going for, yeah. And against me, between me and Mini will be so weird because we played so much with each other. We played like over 300 games the past month or so, like past 1.5, 2 months, whatever. We played like 150 games, or like at least saw each other's games a lot, and we talked a lot about strategy. So it's gonna be really weird playing against him. I hope I get to dodge him. I really do. So it would be so weird to play.
Mini, you mean?
Yeah, that'd be awkward.
Would you have preferred? Oh, sorry.
Oh, playing a teammate in a ZVP especially is one of the most annoying things, because if you know each other well, like if the Zerg knows what the Protoss is doing, that's what it's all about. Like then you can really play greedy and work around it, or play aggressive, however you like. So that's going to be tough for a Harstem.
Well, I'm just wondering, Harstem, obviously you can't change groups, but like of the other Zergs here in the round of 16, is there someone else you would have rather had in your group? Or are you pretty satisfied with it being
another
Mini?
Zerg? Another Zerg?
Yeah, so I mean, like, if it wasn't Mini, it would have been Golden or TLO or Vortex. Like, would you rather have had to fight one of them or Mini?
I think I'd rather not fight against Vortex. Even though Golden is quite good, I'd rather have TLO. Yeah, sure.
Why?
Yeah. I always do quite well against TLO.
Is it because you're better? Is it because he's predictable?
Stylistically.
Stylistic, yeah.
Okay.
I seem to beat him a bit in tournaments. Not so much in practice or on ladder or whatever. I don't ladder too much, but yeah, I think in tournaments I keep on, getting the good end of things. So I would rather have TLO than Mini.
All right. So any final thoughts, Rifkin, about the round of 16 of WCS?
Well, I said it kind of a little bit before, but I'll just say it again. Like, what I really like is because there's no one discernibly crazy overpowered group, I think this is gonna make some really good viewing for the fans. Because the worst thing is like watching a bunch of 2-0s. I mean, let's be honest. Even if it's your favorite player, you don't want to watch like, Flash 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, and then everything's over in like 5 minutes. So what I really like about the groups is I just take a quick glance at this, and I'm like, all these games look like they could be some pretty sick matchups. And I think that alone is gonna make round 16 very exciting, more so than any individual player.
You also have 9 foreigners and 7 Koreans. That's a pretty good balance. What about you, Demuslim? Your thoughts on those groups? Is there any group that you're like looking forward to as a fan to learn from? I don't know, 4GG or MMA?
I'm really looking forward to MMA and Yoda's play. Because MMA, he's got Mana, who I lost 1-3 against, so I'd like to see Mana against MMA. Just see how it's like really cleanly done. Also against Golden and Wellmu, they're both like very clean, good players of their caliber. The group with Vortex, San, and TLO with Yoda. Yoda was on fire recently. Like Yoda had a bit of a down slump. Like you could play against Yoda, and it would feel like you're playing against a regular foreign Terran, But then all of a sudden, Yoda started doing really well. So I'm very interested in seeing Yoda against San and Vortex.
You think Deishi's a dead fish in Group B with Stardust, 4GG, and MC?
I feel really bad for Deishi because 4GG is like a TvT machine and also their teammates. And I saw them on stream today and 4GG won everything. So that's really tough. And against a player like MC, it's really, or even Stardust, they're so like precise with their rushes that a player like Deishi, he's kind of like, Deishi's like Rambo, like he does cool things with drops and stuff, but against a clean, crisp all-inner like MC or Stardust, it's going to be very hard for him.
I think it depends though, because like you talk about how MC and Stardust kind of deadly, but at the same time, maybe less for Stardust, more for MC. Like when they do get cheesy or rushy, like it's also kind of predictable when you watch them play. I mean, when we're at IEM, I was like, "Yo, MC's gonna proxy Stargate Flash, right?" And if someone terrible like me can call that, I'm sure someone like Deishi certainly could, right? So it's, I don't know. I wouldn't put that so one-sided, but I would definitely agree with your statement where Deishi is...
Like these players, it's like San. He was doing that 4-gate rush after like making a Nexus for a long time, and even if you know what some of these players are doing, players like San and MC, when they do it, MC specifically against Terran, they're so good at it. Like it's very strange. So even if you know what they're doing, it's still pretty hard to stop sometimes.
Yeah,
I like the race distribution: 6 Protoss and Terran, and 4 Zergs. It's not an imbalance. It's pretty. You get a Zerg in every group, so. Or almost in every group. Wait, never mind. Take that back. There's 2 Zergs in Group A. So that rounds up run of 16 WCS EU. It's going to be a lot of fun. They don't have the dates here. They're usually very slow at announcing their dates. So maybe in a week or 2 from now, you'll hear. You'll have some video. You'll have some hype. Do you actually know, Harstem, when you have to go?
I think I played 24.
You think you play 24? Right.
Yeah, because the dates are 16, 17, 23, 24.
16, 17? Alright. So it starts next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. You can expect a lot of good production out of ESL. They usually do good. Yeah. So next topic, finally, my topic I've been waiting for. The WCS region lock. We're going to have some call-ins. If you're a player that's affected, if you're a team owner and you want to call, just tweet at me. We have Penguin that's going to call in at some point to give us his 2 cents. So the main thing is that they're removing Koreans. You need a visa to play, which is pretty cheap for Germany, right? You guys know? Ben, I think you had a visa to live in Germany in Warcraft 3 or something, or at the beginning of Starcraft 2.
Actually, when you're a European citizen, you don't need a true visa to like go and live in other European countries.
Oh, okay.
So but for Koreans and Americans, they would need a visa to come and live here for more than like 3 months at a time. But as for costs and such, I know it's way easier than getting a visa for America, but I'm still not sure.
Yeah.
I think it's just time consuming.
Yeah, I've heard for America it's 5 to 6K, and it only lasts 2 or 3 years. So it's pretty expensive if you make Premier. Well, I mean, like if you're someone like let's say DRG, it's not that expensive because you make a lot out of tournaments. But if you're like a B tier Korean, it's quite the risk. You know, it's 6K is a round of 32 3 times a year of WCS, because that's what you get 2K per season. So there was a lot of debate, there was a lot of talk last week on Reddit. Rifkin, what did you think of WCS region locking?
I'm going to be probably the one guy who has an opinion that's going to get him tarred and feathered here. I really like the idea for the players. So the player perspective, I think it was needed. I think it was great. I have public opinion, et cetera, et cetera. What I don't like is like, okay, let's say we do get like the North American only champion, like someone like Scarlet wins WCS America instead of Polt or something, right? But then they've still got to go compete against everyone else later on. So it's kind of like, well, difference of dying in the round of 32 versus difference of dying in the round of 4 type thing. I don't know. I think it's good for self-esteem and helping all these players, but wasn't it the whole point to try and get these Korean players to come play on, like, say, the North American ladder so that there'd be more games, better practice, and raise the overall skill level? Like, I think we saw that heavily in Europe, especially with a lot of the guys moving to Europe. But I don't think these changes are going to exactly encourage a ton of Koreans, like maybe some, but not a ton to move to North America. So I kind of feel like it's a band-aid to the problem, and it's good, and I agree with that. But I don't think it fixes the problem like a lot of people seem to think it's going to. Like this, I read Reddit, I read Team Liquid, I read Twitter, and it's all just like, oh, this magical cure-all, the region lock. But I don't think it's quite that yet. Mm-hmm. I think it's good though. It's the right step. I just don't think it solves everything the way everyone's expecting it to.
To be devil's advocate, I feel like a lot of people were saying like, some Koreans are gonna retire because they can't compete with Korea if they go back to GSL. But I feel it would have been the same for NA. Like, you would have seen a lot of pros. I mean, I'm not talking for them, but people like Vibe, QXC, you know, they're getting older. And if making run of 32 is, like, near impossible, run of 32 Premier, it's really hard to make money from tournaments as an NA player. So, yeah, you might see Koreans retire, but you would have seen a lot of NA players retire as well. So, and that, like, there was one side that was going to get wrecked either way, I feel.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ben, of the region locking?
I'm gonna go on to Rifkin's argument there. Like, what happened to the American ladder? Like, is there just nobody playing on it? Like, what happened to the Americans playing on it that were the top Americans?
We're playing on EU and Korea. We give up. Like, that's why, like, you see every once in a while a post like, guys, I finally made NAGM, and then there's like no one playing NAGM. So you have a lot of go on.
One of the things I noticed when I first moved to North America was like, so this was a long time ago, like years. One of the first things I noticed was you guys in North America. When I started playing on North America, there was like other people playing on North America. I remember Rhett came and moved over here for quite a while too, in North America. And we had like, it was good practice. Like, it was still decent practice for sure. Yeah, it wasn't as good, but I noticed that very quickly, like, people that I very regularly like do well against or something on the ladder, they leave the server and go and play on a different server instead. And very quickly, like, these players, even when you had Koreans and stuff coming over, the Americans and stuff that were North American players that could get good practice, they kind of avoided it even when it came to them. And so, this happened very, very quickly. And everybody just evacuated the server. Like, even the new players, and it was because they thought like North American practice was trash, whatever, and it wasn't as good, but just totally abandoning it altogether. I really feel that the players kind of killed the North American ladder in a way by just saying how bad it was and kind of evacuating when it was like not looking too healthy. And I mean, players did come over and start playing on it, but like how would you try and reinvigorate and bring life to the North American ladder? Like, this doesn't do it. But that's what Blizzard want, right? They want to like reinvigorate the ladder as well, and like just make practice and everybody better all around. And I feel that this will help like kind of get them going in a way, but I think the North American mentality in general for gaming is far, far lazier, and I don't think changing structure is anything to fix that. I think that's down to the players being lazy more than anything, and I know I've experienced it myself. So yeah.
Well, I just want to touch on that last point about the whole lazy thing. Like, I definitely agree because I've talked with a lot of players, and some of them I definitely get that vibe from. But then there are some who are the complete opposite. They're so hardcore that they want to play on the Korean server because it's the best of the best, and there's no way you'd be able to match it. So if they got the ping for it, they'll do it. I mean, it's kind of like what we saw with the, and I hate to bring this one up because like the forgotten stepchild, but the C server, right? Like, nobody in Australia even plays on the Australian server because there's nobody worth playing on over there. So they go to North America. It's like this weird trickle-down effect through servers.
It's all kind of weird, but it's pretty hard to fix when you've got things like latency, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, you say that, the Muslim, but I'm like a good example. Not that I enjoyed playing versus you, but I'm like one of the players that always played on EU just because I play during the day, so there's no one on NA in the morning. Well, there were a few Koreans. Like, I played Bomber, I think, like 15 games, and I enjoyed it. Like, I knew he was on NA, so I came to NA to play him, and then I went back on EU when he logged off. But I think as stupid as it sounds, there needs to be like a minimum amount of games. Like, you know, just how you needed like 200 wins for the wildcard qualifier. If you're going to be in WCS Challenger or Premier, I feel like you need 200 games per season, like 200 wins or 300 wins. Otherwise, people are always going to go to Korea. People are always going to go to Europe, just because sometimes it's easier to get games. You know, for me in the morning, it would take me like 5 minutes to find a game. On EU, it doesn't take as much. And then just like Rifkin said, if you're for the hardcore people, like players like I don't know if you've heard of him, Intense. He's a NA Terran. He was pretty average. And then he just went on Korean server, he got GM once, and then he came back and he was doing really well. He's a balance whiner, but outside of that, he was doing okay. So it's a balancing act, and it's really tough for the NA server.
One of the coolest things that anybody ever did for the North American scene was Total Biscuit when he ran one of the Shoutcraft qualifiers. Like, you know, that was literally saying, hey, everybody that lives in America, and depending on how high you are on the ladder, you get to play in this tournament for quite a lot of money. And it was like for American residents only. And that's when you really had like, I've even got screenshots saved on like my Facebook somewhere of like looking at the ladder and like the top 10. It's like Scarlet, like Major, QXC, like all these names, Hendrilisk, like every top NA player. And there was like 15 of them in a row, and it was like, holy crap! This really, really got a lot of players playing and really made this ladder like fresh and fruitful. And even if you play elsewhere, even if you play in Korea, Europe, wherever, that like season of that happening, that really like made me see like the NA scene is quite healthy when you look at it from a like a condensed version like that. But everybody just so dispersed. So it's tough. It's tough to make the NA ladder something worthwhile all the time, because there isn't something worthwhile all the time there.
What are your thoughts, Harstem? You've been quiet.
Yeah, man, I'm not sure about this region lock. I think it's good that they do it. I don't think games are good. Like, if you would have to play 200 games, it would be so bad for the NA players playing 200 games on their server. That
but it
really
would make the server better.
No, it wouldn't. It would only make more NA players play on their server. So they would be playing against the same players a lot, which is kind of useless because they're not learning anything new. Well, like, let's be real, there's not enough good players in NA to make ladder practice good. Like, someone like Scarlet won't get anything out of the NA ladder.
Well, that's how she became good. She only played on NA, and then she moved to Korea after.
Yeah, and she became really good. Right?
Yeah,
like, she will just get worse by playing on NA.
Okay, I can see what you mean. Go ahead.
Did you guys ever see Red Eye's tweet? His like radical idea or whatever? I thought that was kind of cool.
What was it?
Go ahead.
I am actually looking for it now. I gotta scroll through this, but it was something along the lines of like, get rid of WCS America and WCS Europe, or just merge them together, because then like really brings everyone together.
Latency is too big of a problem.
I would agree. That's definitely good, because that's the downside, right? Like, every player I've ever worked with for a show match, for a tournament, like I've had people who would specifically play for like peanuts if it meant that they could play on their home server, compared to like $10,000 on the European server or something.
The thing is, like, for every good 100 Koreans, let's say there's like 10 good Europeans, and for every 10 good Europeans, there feels like there's one really good North American player. Like It's so hard to like just mix and match, and like when you bring Koreans into it too, just yeah, it's insanely hard. It's insanely hard. How do you make the North American scene better practice? And
My problem with the merging thing is, as much as people like to call it welfare, it kind of is. Like, if you compare EU to NA, we have EG, we have complexity, and then we have like 3 or 4 semi-pro teams. And at the end of the day, like, if you want to play this game a lot and you want to beat the Koreans, then you have to be full-time. If you want to be full-time, then you need to fucking pay your bills and be able to afford food. And so if you end up like merging them and cutting it in half, sort of it, then you lose so much of the money that can help support like up and comers that can take like a semester off or something, you know. So it's like, as much as people call it welfare, it sort of is, and it sort of needs to be for maybe a year or two until we can catch up at some point. And
wait, what do people call welfare?
Because you know they're taking out the Koreans, so NA.
Oh, WCS NA is going to be
welfare, yeah.
Okay.
Do you agree that it's like a necessary evil, like, because it's not going to get better?
Well, you're still going to have like Violet and Polt, what have you, yeah, and Scarlet's still going to be there.
Yeah, but if you look at the amount of full-time NA pros compared to EU, like, I can almost count them on one hand. Like, there's me, Huck.
Hang on, desRow, you're starting to take this to like a bigger point though, where it's not so much about Starcraft specifically, NA versus EU, but it's more like the culture shock, right? I mean, Europe, I think gaming's pretty much an acceptable thing. Yeah. I still have to explain what the hell Twitch is to like 90% of the people I meet.
Yeah. I understand.
So, I mean, like, North America, if you're gonna go to that point, I'm just saying, like, that's a bigger issue than something StarCraft related. That's just esports in general.
But like, it's not as if you go down the street in you know, England. It's like, oh, Twitch. You know what that is? It's like, no. You know, where I grew up, it was like freaking horrible. Like, I had to move country as soon as I could because the internet was so terrible. Like, Europe, like, I'm pretty sure that Harstem had a bit of trouble like explaining to people like, yeah, I'm a pro gamer, this is what I do and stuff. It's not as if it's like a super accepted thing over here. You just have it's not that different. I really do feel that like North Americans are just a little bit lazier when it comes to gaming, and I want to say lazy, is that even the right word?
More like complacent.
Koreans,
I don't know.
It is like Koreans. They undoubtedly work harder than any European. Like, sitting in an office and working for 10 hours straight, that is how they see video gaming a lot of the time for StarCraft and stuff. And did I ever see it like that growing up? No, that was the game that I found fun. I loved beating my friends and stuff. Like, just a different work ethic entirely. And I think Americans have got a more lax work ethic than the Europeans have of it. And maybe like just different things are overwhelming over there, like console gaming, playing COD, and like some of these guys on Twitter, you have like 500,000 followers because you're a COD player. It's like, well, you're obviously a very good COD player, but different things are so huge over in America that the whole PC gaming log, especially StarCraft, it's kind of hard to take in. Although you have LCS and stuff, that's pretty big, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying.
I just love, by the way, that we've got 2 Europeans and 2 Canadians discussing American gaming right now.
Yeah, that's the beauty of internet. So do we? Okay, so. There's a few things that came around with the region locking. So there's a few like branches of the tree. Total Biscuit and his salty 2 cents about Axiom, and
it's sad for him though.
Oh, no, it is.
It's like the most justified salt ever.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he says it like after like the complaining for 30 minutes. He says like, I'm conflicted because I used to be an advocate of region locking, but it's really putting like bars in my wheels or whatever. So did you guys listen to the 30-minute rant of region locking for Total Biscuit?
Yeah.
Benny?
I didn't listen to it, but I mean, he's got this Korean team house with his team in that have all been playing in WCS North America and now can no longer do it. Like, and he pays for this house, pays for their salaries, like, and then they have to start afresh somewhere else, which is a really, really hard server. And I can't imagine how things are going to go for them. Or he has to pay for like visas for his whole team. Like, I don't know if he was whining about that, but those are the first things that come to my mind when I think of Total Biscuit's position right now.
Yeah, that's basically what he said. Go ahead. Rifkin?
If I'm Total Biscuit, like I know he gives this really nice PC and he explains both sides of the argument. I would have just given the biggest fuck you though, because this is the guy who's put so much money into like putting tons of events on. Like Demuslim had just mentioned the whole Shellcraft America thing a while ago. Like he's done probably more as an outside, not Blizzard person than most have. And then this probably affects him the most and screws him over the most out of all people affected by this. So what I have to say is like listening to his SoundCloud thing on it, I was surprised it was so calm and so just I don't know PC about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like in the end, he talked about turning his team more into marketing, doing more marketing, and having to use his YouTube more. Like I feel like he's one of the teams that's the most screwed, but he's also one of the team that has chances to turn it around and has the most resource. So it's not like he's stranded in the desert. Like he's gonna do well for himself. Even though he's gonna have to put in a little bit more work, and his players are gonna play a little less. I mean, Ben, you've been there. Like we can kind of see like. Ben, you did promotional work for EG. Even Harstem did promotional work for Fnatic. Like, it doesn't cut that much into your practice.
Oh, it does, man.
It really? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's not-
Tell me more.
Like, if you have to do one of these events,
Yeah.
I've done like a few events for MSI now, like maybe 4 or 5. And
In a
like,
year or like in the past 2 years or
in
whatever?
the past 1.5 year, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like
Go on.
you do like an event, and it's maybe for 3 days that you're gone, and I always feel bad after I fly, so I basically lose like 5 days
Okay.
for like nothing. I don't know, man. I don't like losing days of practice. It's very annoying, especially for tournaments, and I always feel a bit sick after events.
Okay.
So I can definitely feel like if you're not used to doing them, and then all of a sudden you have to do a few a year, like if all you ever did before was just practice, and then you have to start doing stuff like this, I can imagine it being annoying, or making like videos and stuff like that. It also can be not so much time consuming, but a bit stressful, and there's more stuff on your mind than just thinking about the game, which isn't always necessarily bad, but it can be a bit bothersome if you're in a good flow, if you feel that you're practicing very well for the past 5 days, and then you have to fly somewhere else to entertain a few journalists or something like that. It can be a bit bothersome.
Well, I
I mean,
mean,
when
sorry, go.
when you're sorry, when your reasoning is to entertain a few journalists, it's not just to entertain a few journalists. Like you do that stuff because these people pay your team a lot of money to represent you and stuff. So there is a reason that you do it, Harstem. You do it to get paid a salary because that's great, and that's what you get paid for a lot of the time. But is it troublesome? Like, it doesn't sound like you're too used to doing that stuff. But when I lived in America, we'd have photographers come over. They just set up a shot, and we'd do like photos for an hour. So, and then those photos would be used for like the next 3-4 months or whatever. So, a lot of things could be done nicely. The whole like when you have to make coaching videos and stuff, that can take out some time. But I mean, it's all for a good cause. So I don't think it's too bad. No, but I think I might be more used to it than most.
Yeah. I mean, okay, go ahead, Rifkin. Sorry.
Well, so I wanted to bring this up because this is actually a very recent example where a conflict actually comes in, where Harstem had to play the MSI tournament. And I'm not taking a shot at MSI here, but like this is just an example where he had to play the MSI tournament, which was scheduled at the same time as mine. I can't say that was the reason why he lost, but I guarantee you having to bounce back and forth between two tournaments puts Harstem in a completely different mindset, trying to rush one best of 3 into another best of 3 into another best of 3 for 2 different tournaments back and forth. I mean, sometimes like that, obligations, and that's happened before in other tournaments, not just like Harstem and MSI, but I can't imagine that's always very fun. And I'm curious actually on your thoughts on that, Harstem. Like, do you think that really affected you? Would you have played any different if it was just one tournament you're focusing on instead of bouncing between the two?
I didn't feel too good anyway that day. But I don't know. I think I might have played a bit better if it wasn't for 2 tournaments. Like, it's way more relaxed, and it's just you have more time to think about the stuff that you're gonna do. Now it felt a bit like I had to finish a best of 3 in like 30 minutes every time, so that was a bit annoying.
Okay.
Sorry, I just looked here at Rhett's PC, looking at pictures of Slivko. Slivko is so buff, dude.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Like, I am never flaming Slivko ever again.
Yeah. So Total Biscuit, hopefully he recovers. Hopefully It's not too much hard work for him because he's been doing a lot for Starcraft already. And we're all obviously looking forward to his next tournament because Sandisk Shotcraft was pretty good. Next, within the WCS region locking, this tweet from Saint Snorlax. I don't know if you guys saw this tweet. He says, San has suggested that several Koreans could backdoor WCS America through Taiwanese visas, depending on the final conditions Blizzard sets. So it sort of circumvents coming to America to live here by just going to live to Taiwan. That'd be so broken. I think it would suck a lot for the Taiwanese players. Rifkin, I don't know if you've seen some of the Taiwanese players in WCS America. They usually do well for themselves. I'm not sure, but I think Haz is a Taiwanese player. Is he?
Yep.
Is he? Yeah. So that would suck. Have you? What do you guys think of? Because with the region locking, they're still letting the Chinese, the Taiwanese, and the Australian players play in WCSNA. What do you think of that move? And what do you think of? I guess the backdoor that could possibly happen, Rifkin.
I think it's going to take a tremendous amount of effort, and it almost rewards the effort taken to make that. But at the same time, it's not like playing from China is going to give them any sort of advantage. I mean, China has its own server that you can't even access easily. You have to like download a completely different client for, just because of how outstanding the ping and other restrictions are around it, right? So, I don't know. That's one of those things that's too hard to predict what the results will be, but the fact that could be a hole left open might end up just being bridged by the fact that someone's now brought it up. Like, perhaps Blizzard did completely overlook it, and now they'll take the measures because it's been mentioned or something.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ben? Do you like the contribution of Taiwan and China to WCSNA, or you think they deserve their own region?
I really think they would have deserved their own region, actually. That would have seemed pretty nice. Yeah, I remember the first BlizzCon when there was like Loner coming over and Luffy and stuff. It was really cool seeing these Chinese players that I've never heard of, because they really do stick to their own circles. Mm-hmm. Especially in Warcraft, they used to like practice amongst themselves almost solely. But I just don't find the Chinese players that interesting when they come and play in North America, to be honest. Like, I don't know enough about them, and communication's very hard. Like, Chinese players don't tend to know that much English, so it's really hard to see their personality shine through. Whereas if they had their own server, they might be pop stars, who knows?
Yeah. And one thing that I just thought about, you know, how GSL is the Korean region. You could have TESL be the China-Taiwanese WCS. They could merge both. Harstem, you've played in TESL. Do you think they have the production and the infrastructure to replace, or to be like the twin of GSL?
Man, TSL is... I don't know what to say, man. That tournament is really, really weird. It's really cool, but also quite weird. Like, I would have to be there for matches like 4 or 3 hours before, and we would just like sit on this black couch. There was like 2 black couches, and there was like 25 people. So if you came in first, you had the black couch, and you could watch like a Disney movie.
Casting
like,
couch.
A TV that was this big, right? So it was basically like 20 guys for 3 hours watching Disney movies. And then you would go in there in the little studio, because it was broadcasted on national television every Saturday and Sunday. I think twice 2 days a week, and the other day we played in the internet studio where they would just broadcast it on a stream or whatever, right? So we're all sitting on this couch, and there's 3 other games before Starcraft. A stupid game with shooting, a stupid game with driving a kart, which wasn't Mario Kart, but like a really stupid rip-off that looked horrible. And I think there was another game, but I can't remember. And then there was Starcraft, and you would go in there, and because of all the lights, they had the sickest, what's it called? AC.
Yeah.
It was extremely cold. We're talking like 10 degrees above Celsius, something like this. So I would be playing like with like a sweater and a shirt underneath my shirt, and I would be like sometimes, you know, having the, what's it called?
The hand warmer.
Yeah, the hand warmer stuff, and you'd still be so cold. As well, like, you could not have your legs under the table because there was, like, a thing. So you would play like this. And normally I always sit with my arms on the table as well. So it was so weird to play. It was extremely cold. Like, I checked the replays. I always send the replays home after I played. And it was, like, standard 70 APM lower than I normally had. Like, every single game. Just because it's so cold and the games were horrible. I don't know, man. Like, they need to fix that before they can have their own region. I really enjoyed playing in the tournament, but like,
that's what League defines it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that you ask Harstem, like, hey, does Taiwan have the ability to like host WCS or something of their own? And Harstem's like, no man, their chairs, like, they're so far away from the desk and the aircon's too cold. It's like, these guys can't have WCS.
They gotta get their AC under order. It's ridiculous.
Oh, that's
No,
funny.
like-
Yo,
the
Harstem, was this
conditions-
the couch, by the way? I just linked it.
wait, have you been there? Oh yeah, man, it was exactly that couch.
Are you for real?
I swear, it looks so much like this one, man. Oh, I never made the connection. Now I know what they use the TV studio for in like the weekdays.
That's how they fund the prize pool, man.
Oh god.
No, like, but the rest, it was extremely professional. There was like referees, like one referee for every guy playing. So the guy would just stand behind you, look at your screen, making sure that that nothing could go wrong. Like, I would pause, he would come up to me immediately. They had a translator who was very nice. Everyone was very nice. They had like makeup ladies. So everything was extremely professional, but the conditions weren't optimal. If they could fix that, then for sure they could host it. Like, the way they treated players was quite good, except for watching the Disney movie on this TV. You know, the rest, it was great.
Well, okay. Okay,
Sounds
good.
it.
Yeah, good to know. So the melting. Well, go ahead, Rifkin.
Well, I don't know if you plan to talk about this coming up, but I just didn't want to get too far. We keep talking about like these region locks, but can we talk about like the point reset too? Like, that's kind of crazy.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. That's very nice. Harstem or Demuslim, go for it.
Oh, I just like the fact that it's all at ground zero again, because well, I'm not in WCS right now, so I don't have that cushion of being like safely in it for next season. So I like it that everybody else starts on the, you know, the same. It's nice for everybody. It's a clean slate for everybody. Whoever's good now gets to stay in and what have you. Yeah, it's just nice and fresh.
Are you not scared at all of fighting against like, say, WCS champion like round one type thing though? Is that, I mean, it's such a small chance, but
If it happens, it happens. Bite the bullet, you know. Like, I had to play in a WCS North American qualifier ages ago. That was when WCS first, like, kind of segmented, I guess. And in the winner bracket, I had to play, like, Oz. Then in the loser bracket, there was, like, J-Dong, STC, and fucking Revival and stuff. So, like, I've had hard qualifiers just to try and get into Premier League before. So I think it's fine. Like, whoever makes it should be the ones that deserves it, so.
Well, they'll seed it based on last year's point, like the qualifiers, like Challenger and the qualifiers and so on. It will be based on the WCS point, so it won't be so imbalanced. Like, if you end up playing MC or I guess Polt, then you really deserve it. But yeah, no, it always felt weird to me, like having like 8 players left from the last year. It was just so weird, and then it was only 8 players, so it wasn't so bad. But just having a complete reset makes it so much more fresh. What was your experience, Harstem, for season 1 this year?
I don't know. I qualified for Challenger and then I lost the Lizer. That was okay. I think you can always make it quite easily if you practice a lot. Like, I felt like Europe, it isn't too hard to qualify for Challenger. If you're like in decent shape, you're like top 50 GM, something like that, you're almost always gonna qualify for Challenger. Then you just have to win your one match for Premier. However, if they do the reset, I hope they don't do the one Challenger match, you know, because that would be so broken. I feel like they should do groups.
Yeah, you don't like best of 5?
Like, I think it's okay for how the system is now, but if they do a complete reset, you can have like first play against Saxry, and both of them for sure deserve to be in Premier League. And then you would have like me playing against, I don't know, give me a player.
MMA?
Like me against, let's say, Hero Marine. 2 players that are probably way worse than First and Saxry are, and then only one of them is going to go through and one of us is going to go through, which doesn't seem very fair, because if we were placed with the four of us in one group, then probably First and Saxry would have gone through. So I feel like if they're gonna do a complete reset, they should change that.
Okay.
That they have like bring the group back, because otherwise I feel like so many good players are not gonna go through undeservingly because they play better opponents.
To be like a dick, you could also have a group with like Sax3, MC, Stardust, and 4GG, and then a group with like, let's say, Hero Marine, me, you, and whoever else. You know, I think it's all fixed by just good seeding, no matter what you do.
Yeah. What about you, Rifkin? Any thoughts on the full reset? Are you excited?
I think it's cool because, like I've said before, it kind of sucks. You got players like Poulter auto qualified, so you don't even get to see him until like halfway into the season type thing. So now people who have like their big fans of X player, like all the wonderful things you guys have said, but also just from a fan point of view, all of a sudden you get to watch your favorite players play again rather than waiting halfway through the season, which is for me really cool.
Okay. All right. Moving on from that, there's few more topics that are merged into WCS Region Lock. Roster changes. We had a few Koreans, trying to go for next year, because getting a visa, sure, it's 5-6K, but if you're someone like Parting, Innovation, Myungsik, Gumio, DRG, 5 to 6K is like a good investment to move to NA. And so mentioning those players, Parting left SKT, Myungsik left KT, Gumio left CJ. Innovation says he wants to win in GSL, so he's going back to Kespa. So he's not really included in that. And you still have DRG, who's looking for a team. So those players could either go for try to set up a deal with My Insanity. They could try to be part of GEM and live in Germany, or they could. We'll start with that. What do you guys think? Do you guys think they'll choose NA or EU? The Muslim.
Wait, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Basically, the
What?
Koreans, he wants to know, do you think they're going to choose to go to NA or EU?
Oh, Koreans?
Koreans, yeah.
New Koreans, sorry.
Koreans.
Yeah.
I feel that trying to go to NA is the best option.
But it's the most expensive one, though.
It is the most expensive one, but can you remember when like teams like Quantic and stuff pop up, and then all of a sudden they pick up like some Koreans that I've never heard of, but they're really, really good. Like
Gamja.
Gamja?
Gamja kind of came out of nowhere, and he performed really well. Like he's not going to be the next Sue anytime soon, but.
I just feel if you're a new Korean and you try and go for Europe, either one's going to cost a lot, and either one you have to convince your family and stuff of a lot of things like, hey, I'm moving away to play video games. Your family is like, hey, where are you likely going to win the most money? And you say, here. I think the Koreans, with that kind of mentality, North America makes the most sense, even though it's going to cost more initially.
Yeah, one thing too that we haven't considered is the League of Legends teams for NA. Cloud9, CLG, Curse, possibly TSM. They're expanding. They're getting a lot bigger than Liquid. Maybe, they're on par with EG in terms of like. Well, I don't know the numbers, but if you look at how much money they have and how much money they're spending, we could. Well, my dog's really excited. We could see one of those Koreans join one of those LoL teams, which would make it easier on them to go to the NA region. No, Rifkin?
I don't know about that. If you're, because there's no necessity for a team, like you'd see like maybe one pickup, right?
Yeah.
So what you're really talking about is like 3 spots.
Oh,
It's
yeah. No, I'm not saying like they make a Starcraft team. I'm saying like they pick up a player or two.
Oh, you mean to swap to League of Legends?
No. The League of Legends organizations like Cloud9, TSM, those teams, those organizations,
You're the best host.
Okay, thank you. Those organizations could pick up a Korean or two now that the NA region is a lot easier. Like CLG has expressed in the past that they wanted to pick up players for StarCraft, but every time they didn't, it was because it was region locked.
There's a small possibility of it happening. I agree.
Yeah.
Like there's a chance it could happen. That'd be cool. But from what I've seen, again, just like this is totally spectator, I don't know. The chances are small, and even if it is something that does go through, it's still only spots for like 1 or 3 players total across like all these teams, right? It's not
Yeah.
like you're gonna see a new My Insanity crop up out of TSM or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, it'll be interesting. I am wishing the best for Parting leaving isn't official. It's mostly a rumor because he changed his Twitter handle. But it'll be interesting to see where Myung-Sik, Gumio, and DRG end up. Parting obviously has the most fame and fans out of those four. Well, no, DRG is really has a lot of fans and he's marketable and speaks good English. So I wouldn't be surprised to see CLG pick up someone like DRG. Moving on with Penguin wanted to talk about the region lock, so we're gonna invite him into the call. So first time we do a call in. So if it doesn't go well, there's a first time for everything, right?
We
I'll
won't
just-
blame you, desRow.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, for bringing Penguin in here, for those who don't know who Penguin is, he pretty much helps manage My Insanity. He's one of the players, sort of, but he's more importantly like a manager of the team. So he's got some knowledge here,
No,
more so
man,
than I guess any of
he's
us.
like
would.
Eye Master Zerg. That's all he is. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yo, he beat Nighthead in ATC. I'm just saying.
What? Wow. Okay, that's interesting. All right, let's get him on.
That is funny, actually.
Yes, it is really funny. All right, so the overlays are a little bit messed up, guys. There's nothing I can do about it. Penguin, are you here?
Hello.
How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Good. We were just,
Yeah.
I don't know if you were listening, we were talking about Koreans possibly going to NA or EU, and then if it's EU, Alien Invasion House, your house, or Gem House is usually like a good location for Koreans.
Mm-hmm.
What did you want to talk about?
Well, just to address that topic first, I think I heard you mention something about like you were speculating a bit on what the options were.
Mhm.
I can confirm that we're not looking at signing any of the players in that list.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always the option like people can pay to stay at the MYI house. So if they can sort themselves out like a visa and stuff, then players like that would be more than welcome.
Is it public, the amount needed to reside at your house? To stay at your house?
It's not. I think it's okay if I say it's like approximately 500 to 600 euros a month.
It's pretty good. Cheaper
Yeah, it's
than Ministry of Wind, man.
Yeah, and like it
Really?
includes like everything, like it includes like food, internet, like utilities and stuff, obviously. So
Getting to bro out with
It
Joxy
is-
and Stardust.
like it is possible to like come to the house with like $5 in your pocket and then leave with $5 in your pocket, provided you paid the rent or whatever.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have a
Um,
cook or someone's cooking? Like you guys
We
take
have, like,
turns?
Well, our logistics manager is actually a trained cook, so he cooks for us about half the nights, and the other half the nights, like basically management handles cooking,
Mhm.
and it's pretty standard team house food. It's good food, but like it's not gonna be anything particularly special, just because it's kind of hard to make super special meals for like 15 people.
Yeah, of course. So go on with. So you're not looking to pick up any players. You know how much is a visa for Germany?
Okay, this is actually something that's kind of interesting. I wanted to to talk about this. I'm not entirely sure how much it costs. It's not very much. I know that much. What I'm interested in though is what visas are needed for the Koreans to play, because I've seen some conflicting sort of viewpoints on this. Like some people I've talked to seem to think that an actual work visa will be necessary to stay here or to play in EU. The way it works right now for the people who like the people who live here is that almost all the Koreans are here on visas that are called working holiday visas, which are 1 year long. Basically what they allow you to do is they basically allow you to work, but it's not as sort of concrete as a work visa. So it's like a 1 year thing, and it's like non-renewable. So it's possible to renew it like if you live in another country or something, so you can get like another country's working holiday visa. But
So
that's going to be kind of interesting.
So are you guys gonna play like Hot Potato? Like Gem's gonna come to My Insanity, and My Insanity is gonna go to Gem with Stardust, Jack Chi, and
Probably not. Jagji is actually, I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen with Jockji, because he's expressed a little bit of interest in moving back to Korea, but since the region lock has come out, I'm not entirely sure what his thoughts are now.
Okay.
Penguin, I remember you and I had a talk a little while ago too about actually the Swiss government trying to change the way visas are going to work too. Whatever ended up happening with that? Because the last I heard, they were working towards making it so players like Jockji and Stars couldn't actually work around Switzerland.
Yeah, basically what ended up happening is there was a vote about a year ago, like 8 months ago, which like really, really, really tightened working visa restrictions in Switzerland, and it passed by like 50.2% to 49.8%, which is kind of bad, but it's not going to come into effect until like 2017. So for the time being, it's not going to really affect anything at all. The biggest kind of I have my notes somewhere. What was I going to talk about? Yeah, the biggest kind of change that I see coming for WCS is going to be not so much for Europe. I think it's going to be a lot more for NA, because like a lot of the Europeans that play in WCS, or a lot of the Koreans that play in WCS Europe, are on visas. So I'm talking like the only two Koreans I took a look through like this season's WCS participants, and the only two Koreans that played in Challenger and Premier that are not currently on visas are Sun and MVP. And the only other real change would be the new players coming over, and then Hyun will probably relocate from NA to EU. So I think the biggest change is going to be NA scene, but you guys kind of already covered this. Like, it'll be good for the NA players, bad for the Korean players who have been playing there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the biggest thing that
Hyun.
Yeah, we'll have Hyun. But yeah, the biggest kind of thing that I want to see, personally, is I want to see season finals again. Because, like, I feel like the biggest problem with season finals in last year was that, like, since the WCS season started in, like, March and April, around that time, they were forced to just kind of rush the 3 seasons. But I think, like, season finals could be really, really cool with something like 8 spots for Korea and, like, 4 spots each for NA and EU.
Mm-hmm. That's actually an interesting point. I didn't think of how rushed it was last year. The thing, though, is they put a lot of money into Challenger, and they put a lot of money into Premier League as well. And
Yes.
so if they bring back season finals, do they like put even more money? Do they take back money? But Ben, would you like season finals again?
Sure.
Yeah.
Wait, like what do you mean? Sorry, I was totally.
Yeah, like last year, you know how like there was a season finals after season 1, season 2, season 3. So it was like Korea, Germany, and then Toronto for WCS.
I think anything with more tournaments is cool.
Yeah.
I still just miss the WCS days when it's like the best WCS for me was when Stefano won WCS Europe. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
That was great. And the national ones were so much fun.
Yeah,
I loved playing the national
those tournaments were so cool. Like for me, that was the coolest thing ever. Like
yeah.
Like even England, WCG UK was really fun, and then going to the finals for WCS Europe, there was so many storylines. Like that's what WCS misses now for the European scene, because that was epic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, remember Star Eagle against Grubby?
That was
almost winning.
Like 200 supply against 100 and got stormed in the face. Yeah.
Yeah, and
like,
just like stimped twice or something to go quicker or whatever. Oh, it was
even
great.
these little stories that are like, I mean, they're kind of insignificant in a way, because like, you know, neither of those won the tournament, but those things were awesome. When Grubby played against Nurchio, like, there's so many games that are memorable. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember more from just that one WCS than I remember from the past 6 seasons that happened. With the new WCS, it was so much more memorable, and I really enjoyed it a lot. Even though it was Infestor Broodlord all the way, like I still probably enjoyed watching that one more than I enjoy watching WCS now. Except for the end finals, that was probably the worst tournament.
The end finals?
Yeah, it was BWC or whatever.
Right, the one in China.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Oh, who was that?
It was
Parting?
Yeah, Parting won that.
Oh yeah, Parting won, and he had like close games versus Suppy. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but it was like the bad venue and the mics that were left open, stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
Mike's left
Spider.
open.
Yeah, I remember that production. That was pretty awful.
Man, how is that still a problem at every event? Like, honestly, you'd think at this point, like several years in, there'd be some sort of standard guide, like how to do sound setups, right? Like every event, it feels like every second event that's out there, there's some sort of issue. Caster microphones, audience being too loud. It's just
What about you, Rifkin, in the season finals? Would you like to see them again?
I'd say yeah. Just it's more content. It's fun to see, and like these guys said, the storylines might seem insignificant, but it's that story that tiny little event that you tell to your friends over and over and over again that's gonna last through multiple seasons. Like that one time Grubby did X or Stefano did blank. Like these aren't moments you forget. They might not be the most significant, but they're the ones people are gonna be talking about for time to come.
Mm-hmm. Is there any subjects you wanted to talk about, Penguin, that we haven't covered?
I think you covered pretty much everything that I had on my personal notes.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I'm really interested to see is I really hope that with a lot of the Koreans kind of being probably forced back to Korea, I really hope that we do see a second OSL style tournament running alongside GSL. I think that would be really cool, like a WCS Tier 1 event.
Or the Kespa Cup could be consistent.
Yeah, but I think they've said that the Kespa Cup they only want to happen once a year.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Do you know what is actually really awesome?
Mm-hmm.
That you'll have Koreans like Tasia and Jaedong back in WCS Korea, and we'll get to see these guys compete against like the Casper guys all the time.
I hope so.
I mean,
but
the likelihood of seeing like Tasia against some guy that's like really good because he owns everything abroad, and then like Jaedong against Flash, like those kind of things are epic.
Yeah. The thing is, I think it's confirmed that Teja's retiring this year because of his arm.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, there's been like the last time he was asked in an interview, that's what he said. I think that was like 2 or 3 months ago.
Tisha's always talk about retiring though, like every week.
Yeah. He's sour about all those 10K tournaments he wins. He never wins the big ones. But and the thing about Jaedong, I don't know. Like you say, it'll be nice to see them play a lot. Can Jaedong make it to Code S? Is the real question, eh?
I think there was a period of time when Jaedong was regarded as one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, with that kind of motivation, playing against those guys all the time and having to beat them, and I think for his fans too, it's a big deal.
Wouldn't there be room for Jaedong in the LoL, the EG LoL house or the EG Dota 2 house?
There'd be a lot of room, but does Jaedong want to live there? I don't think so.
Okay.
It's very different getting Koreans to live abroad and stuff.
Oh, I know. I lived in Korea for 6 months, man. I only had one translator with me the whole time. It was pretty hard. I know how big a shock it is. Penguin, any final thoughts?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah, I hope that next year's WCS is awesome.
Yeah, I wish you the best with My Insanity and your team S.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Best of luck, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Alright, oh, I think I called him back. Alright. So I think that the next branch of or region lock topic, although it's not really a branch of it, is the Who's the Best tournament, or Who's the Best European tournament.
Oh man.
Because, a lot of people, they always say, like, I only want to see Koreans, screw Americans, screw Europeans. And then we had the Who's the Best European tournament. And you had fantastic numbers and fantastic games. So we're going to take a look a little bit at the round of 32, the round of 16, your finals, and how it went down. And we also have Harstem and... there was only a round of 16, my bad. We also had Harstem in the tournament. And Demuslim also finished third. The comeback of Demuslim through the Who's the Best European tournament. Rifkin, start it. Open it up.
Well, let me just start by there was a lot of horrible things that happened in this tournament that worked against us, and I was really glad we made it work in the end. First off, we set up some front page time with Twitch, but the Sims 4 release evidently overrode that. So our first day, we didn't get about half the front page time we were told we were going to get. So I was really worried for viewership on that, but it didn't end up affecting it too poorly at the end. But I don't know if you want to talk about the groups. I actually want to talk about the numbers. I showed you that Google Doc, just the final day before.
Can I show it on stream?
Oh, absolutely. You can even link it in the chat if people want to look at it firsthand. But I want to talk about how the finals for our events, because we had just, for those who don't know the context of this, we had just run a Korean-focused event prior called The Big One about 2 months ago. And then we ran this one, Who's the Best European. And I was a little bit worried about numbers because we chose very specifically not to invite any Koreans to this one. And that was a very unique stylistic choice. There was no ill will. It was bold, exactly. So I really didn't know how this was going to go. But if you look at the finals from September 7th compared to July 25th, we had more numbers in every way possible. We had a higher concurrent viewer ratio. We had an average viewer ratio, max concurrent viewer ratio. We had higher unique numbers, total people who watched the stream. I mean, everything was more for the finals of like, and this was stupid. Like, it was a PvP. Normally, when you get mirror matchups, whether it's a go for Starcraft or a big tournament, people are like, okay, I'm out of here. You know, I don't want to watch PvP. I don't want to watch DBZ, TBT. I'm done. It's a boring matchup. But despite this, we got an ace match. Went to all 7 games. We had way better numbers than we did for the Korean event. And the one thing I noticed between the two events is like, I gotta tell you, I don't know if Europeans just try harder or whatever, but we got more ace matches, more game 3s and game 5s than we did in the other tournament. So many 2-0s, 2-0s, 2-0s. And while I will gladly talk about each of the players, the one thing I do want to just kind of blanketly say, and this definitely includes Harstem and Demuslim, it was such a pleasure working with Europeans on this. Every other region, I have to like twist arms and break legs just to get players to show up on time. These guys were ready to go, in some cases, almost 2 hours prior to their scheduled match. I mean, this was, for all the headaches that went through, the players helped make up that difference. Like, it was just a blast working with the players, and I don't get to say that too often.
Do you have anything, if you had to give criticism to yourself, anything you'd like to improve for the next tournament, next big tournament?
Oh, don't do 2 group stages a day. I don't know why we keep doing this. It's like a test of our endurance, but it definitely hurts the cast, I feel, when you get to the end of, like for example, September 6th. We had to do the Olima League beforehand. So we started casting at 3 a.m. and we finished somewhere around, like, 4 p.m. So definitely hurts the cast when you get to, like, Group D and you're, like, so exhausted and you're not swapping out with other casters and you've had no break. I think that would be the biggest thing we would change up. Format-wise, I kind of like what we did. It was unique. It was different. There was definitely some negative feedback about invites after qualifiers rather than before. But I don't know. I think everything went pretty well, all things considered. There's not a lot of actual, like, there's obviously casting criticism, but like the tournament, I would have to hear back from people like Harstem or Demuslim to get improvements for that.
My biggest pet peeve with your tournament is the 3rd place match. You're playing for like $100 difference.
Well, okay. We actually got a lot of criticisms about this. So my argument was, because most of them actually focused around the fact that it was so different from the 2nd place match. There's such a big gap there. But we did that very much on purpose because the idea was we wanted people to strive for 1st and 2nd, not kind of cop out for 3rd and 4th. And I'm not saying anyone did, but the idea was we didn't want to have that incentive there through the prize pool before any matches were even played.
Oh,
right?
no. What I mean is like the difference between 3rd and 4th is like only $100. So like you have like people battling out for $100, a best of 3. I mean, Demuslim, like, how do you feel? There were like, is it okay for you to play best or a 3rd place match in a tournament, or you prefer when it's 3rd, 4th, and then you don't play the 3rd place match?
I hope this is an opinion that is shared with a lot of people. Like, for me, getting 3rd place was really cool because it was like, oh yeah, I got 3rd place. But for those that like watching and stuff, if that wasn't me there, just getting to the top 4 is already like great because, like, you know, I got as far as I did until I lost. I feel the fact that you don't win it and you don't go all the way to the final kind of thing, like, it's kind of redundant how well you do. So I think a 3rd, 4th place is just as good as like 5th to 8th. You know what I mean? Like, being in that category, 3rd and 4th, like, we came to the semis, but we lost. And you know, when you've lost in that situation for a tournament anyway, you kind of, like, for me, I was like, oh man, I've lost. Like, I feel a bit bummed. I have to play this game now for 3rd place. Like, okay, I'll try my best, kind of thing. But yeah, I think like this is great. Like, this worked out great for me because I
Oh yeah,
won
you beat
from it,
Wellman.
right?
I was happy for you, man. I was watching that 3rd place match.
Yeah, so like it worked out for me. But in general, I think 3rd to 4th play. I think for these kind of things, it's fine. Just say you came 3rd to 4th. Just give them both the same amount of money, and then get on to the final. You know, I think the 3rd place match is that one that people necessarily want to see. I think people just want to see, bam, who's the best.
Okay, I don't disagree with that, but if I'm going to be completely honest, you versus Wellman, game 3 of the 3rd place match, as weird and stupid as it was probably one of my favorite games of the entire tournament. And we never would have had that if we just said, all right, here's the write-off.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it could have been great games that came from it. What if they were really bad games? I mean,
right, but that's the thing.
Is that what we're talking about here? The quality of the games that were had because of it? I mean, if people want to see extra games, then cool. Like,
I just feel it strips the potential away if you don't even give it a chance. Like, I totally understand your perspective. you know, you've not made the first, second place. You're definitely gonna be a little bit bummed. So maybe in that regard, I would agree. Like, we don't need a third, fourth place match. But for us, and this was like the thing about Base Trade TV, I think that's different than most organizations. We're big fans of StarCraft 2 and all the players in the first place. So for us, that's the incentive. Like, we want to see more of you guys as much as we can.
I totally get what you're saying, and more games the better, right? I just feel that it kind of like having a third place match. I feel it maybe slows down the roller coaster a little bit, like the viewing experience roller coaster. Like it's all up, up, and up, and then it's like, okay, now we're going to watch the third place match from seeing who's going to go to the finals. It just feels like, oh, okay, like I don't know. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's my opinion too. But I mean, despite that, it was a great tournament. Mano winning. I was really rooting for Lilbo, man. Fucking Lilbo, like beating Welmu and doing so well lately with the Naniwa Smurf on ladder and trolling everyone. I was like,
Lilbo's been really freaking good for quite a while now. There.
If he won that, it would have been like so cool for him to just like come out of the blue and do that. Rifkin, is there any like round of 16 group that really stood out to you?
We had a lot of upsets, man. It's hard to say like there's one thing that stood out to me the most. I mean,
the Todd Pig game.
Oh God, don't even.
What happened there? Was it just a long game?
It was like
lots of Swarmos and a lot of salts, I think is the best way to describe it.
Todd is good, but versus Swarmos, it's like it's almost like Naniwa versus Swarmos. You know, he doesn't play his full potential because he's too angry to play.
Well, it's worth noting for Todd's sake here, he was kind of on a bit of an awkward schedule, and that match did start 2 hours prior to what he was expecting. Not to say that was solely what happened for the game or whatever, but it's interesting because I was actually really excited when Todd got into the tournament because we've actually been, at least Ombrium and I, seen Todd play some fantastic games. There was a WCS match, and this is where I just fell head over heels in love with Todd, where he like hallucinated 2 warp prisms and then sent out 2 real warp prisms at the same time, and like just basically hit every base potentially at the same time. Like it's stuff like that you don't see out of a lot of Protoss. So I was expecting to see more of that sort of stuff out of Todd, but it ended up just being your standard awkward swarm host Protoss, let's both make mistakes sort of series. But I think what kind of shocked me was, out of all the groups, Group B, when I saw Vortex and Harstem both in the losers match, that kind of blew my mind. Because those were my 2 favorites to get out of the group.
What happened, Kevin?
I died, man. I died. What can I say?
You died to U-Thermal, dude.
Dude, you beat Jackchi, but you lose to U-Thermal.
I don't see the fun in that, desRow. Why did you say that with a smile?
Oh, I'm only saying that because I thought you would beat U-Thermal.
yeah.
Well, but I actually do genuinely think U-Thermal is getting pretty darn good.
Yes, yes.
He is, yeah.
But I think Harstem's PvT is pretty damn beasty.
Yeah, this cocky guy's been... Oh, sorry.
You played poorly? Okay.
Like, in the first game, I think I pretty much had a win. But then I lost 3 Colossus for free. Like, when I was doing a Colossus thing, so that isn't very good.
Okay, now this explains it. So you just played a bit poorer than you usually do.
Yeah, and the second game I did Proxy 1 Gate, which wasn't too well practiced, but I felt like he was good. Against his CC first, and I was like, I think I'm ahead, I'm just gonna finish it with Blink. And I was like, I've never done this before, like this was a horrible idea.
Harstem, I remember that game. Okay, I remember where it all went wrong. You ran 3 Stalkers into his base, then lost them all for killing like 2 SCVs or something.
No, like 4 SCVs, man, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, but 4 SCVs, like... it was like... okay, so CC first, right? Harstem's like, okay, 3 Stalkers, like, I've totally denied mining here, I've killed everything here, I'm gonna run into the main where there's 20 SCVs that can surround me. Okay, this is a great idea.
I played it once against the AI to test the build order.
Oh,
and then
wow.
I did the rest in my head. I was like, he's gonna play CC first again. Like, I'm just gonna build a few Zealots, a few Stalkers. And then I did it another time. I played the build against Journey in the tournament. And then I actually got supply block when I built my second Zealot. So I was like, alright, fuck it. And then I just like lost that game as well. So I don't have a good success rate with that build. So I don't think I'm gonna play it again.
You were doing so well. Like, if you watch that replay, and if you replay it at any time, you keep those 3 Stalkers alive, you win that game for sure. But you decided to, like, freaking run in like a lunatic. And I was just like, I remember the game now. It was a Foxtrot, yeah? You spawned top right, Proxy just stuff above his main, like... I totally remember it. I was like, okay, Harstem's won this. And I was talking with the Yost. It's like, oh yeah, like, he's definitely won. Then you ran in and died. I was like, Harstem's nuts, man.
Well, we were talking about that too. Like, who was like 14 CC? It's like oh my god, like.
Yeah, it was like a build order win, and
It's
I
like
lost.
it's like dream scenario.
Still never lost exactly from the advantageous position.
And like Euthermal's begging. He's like, please run into me, please, 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 please. And Harstem does exactly that, and he's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I should have practiced that strategy, man. Should have practiced.
Oh, that's okay, man.
Well, that funny series aside, I still think like overall Group B for me was probably the biggest upset group. I mean, there's a lot of others you could agree this that. I just think Group B for Vortex and Harstem, the way that started off, I was just sitting there in shock and awe. Like I just couldn't believe that was the case for the first losers match.
Yeah, Marine Lord doing really well. That's nice.
Marine Lord's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marine Lord's been getting really good for a long time too. I mean, he's been one of those slow comers, but yeah.
He's a TvT monster, actually. Like, he's really good at TvT. The only players that I didn't really know in this tourney were Younger and Insane, actually.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about either of those.
Younga was actually here. The tournament's well and over, so I'll go over this. Younga was actually accused of map hacking by several players in the qualifiers, but we had so many different pro players look over the replays, and no one said anything totally fishy was going on. A couple things you question, but it could just be dumb luck type thing. So there was a little bit of concern of him going into the tournament in the first place, but I don't know. We had like Hart and Crank and a bunch of the Axiom guys combined with some other North Americans, even Marine Lord taking a look at the replays, and they said he was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think... Like, I watched the games in their groups, and nothing seemed dodgy. I just didn't really know much about the players at all. They won the qualifiers.
By the way, if Younga is a map hacker, he's like the worst at it, because I don't know if you saw the first game he played versus Pig. He goes to 2 racks, and he walks the SVs right under the Overlord. Like...
Yeah, I mean, people who throw around the map hack thing, they have to be careful, because like a lot of players that are accused are not map hackers. It's just like, you know, set out of frustration that, fuck, I lost to this guy. He must be a map hacker. Like, you just got unlucky most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Your round of 8, best of 3. Why best of 3? I love best of 5 so much.
But it's one of those things again where we're trying to do some like that. Like I said, the criticism of this would be like spreading out the tournament more. This would give us more leeway to do like
4 days.
Yeah, like well, not even 4 days. Like if we did it differently too, even just the finals, and we did all the round of 8 in best of 5s, then maybe. But with the current format, there's no way we could afford to do all best of 5s with how long that ran in the first place. It was already like an 8-hour cast. If each of those was a best of 5 game, and let's assume each one went to the ace match, like, oh dude, that's an extra like 4 hours on that cast. No, please.
Yeah.
But if we did set it up to do it differently, yeah, I would do that. We chose best of 3 though. I mean, it's almost standard with most tournaments we cast. Anyways, go for Starcraft, Stotex, etc.
Everything's best of 3, yeah. And it ended up being 2-1 in every series, so.
Yeah, I loved that. I couldn't be happier about that. That was, I see those games and that screams to me like players are trying. When I see 2-0s, it's either to me outclassed or someone gave up most of the time.
So just getting unlucky in momentum.
Well, that's true too. Sorry, I'm not trying to take away from like 2-0s and things, but what I really enjoyed that it was all 2-1s is my point.
These were scrappy, yeah.
I missed out on Lilbo versus Pig where the game's close.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, Lilbo decided to do really clean killing builds and killed Pig, I think.
Yeah. We didn't have like the long drawn out 50-minute Colossus Swarm host stuff.
Wait. Wasn't that game on Nimbus with the crazy spine rush?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Pig actually, so Pig like puts offensive overlords. He puts spine cars down right outside the third base of Lilbo on Nimbus, but he fights away from them. He takes all of his roaches and fights in the overcharge and doesn't have his spine cars involved with the fight at all. That was a weird game.
Oh. That's unfortunate. Like, Pig's actually quite good. He's got little quirky things about his style, but when you play him, like, I know he moved over to, or came over to Europe pretty recently, but I got to play him a lot more, and yeah, quite a bit of respect gained for Pig, because he does play quite well, even though a little crazy sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. He played a lot on the Korean server. He was doing well. He was GM and stuff.
Yeah,
he had a cheese account and then a normal account. So that's probably where he got all his builds. I'm really sad Marine Lord lost 1-2 to Mana.
Yeah, Mana played really good this tournament, actually. Mana's seemingly always one of those guys that flies under the radar. It's like, oh, who are the best Protosses in Europe? People always name names, but nobody ever really names Mana. And, you know, he's one of the guys he's won Dream, or does he win a DreamHack?
Yes.
He came
he
second in one for sure.
DreamHack Summer 2012.
Okay, so yeah, he's definitely one of the guys that has won big tournaments, but people always kind of forget him as one of the best Protoss.
I mean, you had like people like Nanu and Sase to live up to, so.
No,
Well,
yeah, but
I
Mana
mean-
was always better than Sasa. Don't even try, man.
Well, it's
that's
interesting because
this proves my point exactly. The fact that you think Sase was better than Mana.
Mana is the second most earning foreigner, isn't he? Maybe Nana suppressed him. I think Stefano, Nana.
I mean, Mana's
Mana.
definitely won over 100
like more than
grand
100k. Yeah.
now. Yeah.
He won ESWC as well against 4GG and Stefano there. Like he won a lot of tournaments. He got second at an Aces where he lost 3-2 to Dimaga.
Yeah,
he
his
got second
earnings-
at the first Remax. He's definitely one of the best foreigners. Like 2013 was probably his worst year, but now like I think 2014 he's been very good.
Yeah, even
Well,
at like recent DreamHack Summer, he came like 5th to 8th, like top 8 and stuff like that
He's
in
good,
really,
man.
really hard tournaments. So yeah, he is one of the guys that flies under the radar. So yeah, he did well.
Well, to add to that, we talked about during the cast too. Like, there's that Team Liquid poll for who's going to win this tournament. Mana was dead last with like 1 vote. Everyone had their money on Vortex going to the round of 8. So, I found that really, really surprising because Mana with 1 vote, like really, like what?
He's
He's just one of these players that you kind of don't recognize for being good, I guess.
Good call, Harstem. He's ranked 4th in the foreigner, ranked 26 total with $108,000. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's always been pretty good. I've had my Mana for a long time, and when he joined Team Liquid, Team Liquid, there's something magical with Team Liquid, man. I don't know, they make champions. So when he got on Team Liquid, I was really stoked.
Dude, he's like $400 ahead of Nerd Show. That rivalry. Anyway. So yeah, your finals ended up being Mana versus Lilbo, Mana winning 4-3, and then Demuslim beating 2-1.
I gotta tell you, I was so shocked because Demuslim talked about this a little bit too, like the momentum losing from the roller coaster of doing like a 3rd place match. Like I remember specifically, we had dipped to like maybe 8K viewers around the 3rd, 4th place match, but when we finished the tournament on Game 7, it was like 9.9K viewers. We're almost back at 10K again, and it's not that the viewership was like that good or the other, but it was the fact that it was for once again a PvP finals. Like I mean, this happens all the time in Europe. I can't.
What did it peak at, your viewership?
For day 3, it peaked at 10,807.
Yeah.
For which match was that?
That was one of the round of 8 ones, but semifinal ones. I don't remember which one.
Wasn't it the Muslim versus Manu?
Maybe that could have been it. Yeah.
See the Muslim? People want you, man.
People love.
Yeah, they watch me get wrecked.
No, they want you, man. They want to root for you.
Dude, everybody wants the
tournament was really
D.
good for me.
Muslim.
This tournament though, it was really, really good for me. Like I haven't done well in something for a while, and I've been practicing quite a lot recently. And sometimes like I can do well in practice, like against Harstem, I'll do well. I'll talk shit, and then sometimes I do well. But like it was really nice to finally do a lot better.
Are you bragging about beating me now, Ben?
No.
That was a humble brag, but it wasn't humble, so just a regular brag. That was.
No, I wasn't bragging about beating you.
Like sometimes I'll do well against Harstem. Like, did you just mention that? Like, that was name dropping, man. You're a douchebag. You're a douchebag, man. And he knows it as well. Look at his laugh. He knows a little smirk.
Hey, man, I had to bring you into the conversation somehow. You're being too quiet.
I'm sorry, man. I want to talk about the game, and PvT and how to play and.
All right, we're gonna
Yeah,
the final question to Rifkin. Final thoughts and because there's a question on Reddit and I want to ask it now because it's relevant. So final thoughts on your tournament and what's next for base trade? Is it smaller weekly stuff or you guys are starting already to plan for a big one?
So the big thing for us is we try to cater to our subscribers because that's where the funding for a lot of these tournaments come from. Like we don't have some big sponsor like Monster Energy or Red Bull or anything behind us, right? Like the money for these events comes from subscribers and donations and whatnot. So we put out a poll a little while ago. People were really enjoying these bigger events. They're definitely a lot harder to organize and a lot more stamina intensive on Zombie Grub and myself. I think if we could do one of these once every 2 or 3 months, that with like show matches and other small things in between, that would be my perfect world. I know right now I've got Harstem on the back burner because we're gonna reschedule a show match we had planned to do before WCS. Kane versus Koss is this crazy like rivalry we're working on getting a show match for. They've just been shit talking each other on Twitter, and I'm loving every second of it.
Who?
So Kane and Koss.
Oh, really? That shit talk. Oh, I saw Cast linking. I mean, Kane linking.
Yeah, they've been linking
wins they had.
stats. Yeah, cost like
I
how he's
think-
going 4 Kane easy stuff like that. So
Cass is quite good, isn't he?
he
Cass-
is. He's like that spoof Lucifer account or whatever. The one people
Yeah,
are questioning
he
about.
is.
So yeah, there's some show matches in the work for Base Rate TV. Outside of that, it's just cast whatever we can as much as we can. I don't know. I really liked the tournament. It was fun. I enjoyed every second of it.
If you had
Not
to put
worth
a
it
date,
monetarily, but
if you had to put a date on another big tournament, would you say next year, before the end of the year?
definitely before the end of this year. I mean, there's gonna be that dead space after WCS kind of concludes for a second. You know, we get that 2 weeks of downtime, and then we move to BlizzCon and stuff. I mean, it depends on where time works best, is what it boils down to. But I think towards the end of the year, we're gonna have a lot more free time to work with, which is nice because I got to tell you, man, organizing outside of WCS, even WCS doesn't even know its own schedule. The whole 6th versus 8th conflict, right? It's a pain. It's a pain, but yeah.
I feel you. All right. Well, that's it for the Who's the Best European tournament. That concludes the first part of our show. Usually that's supposed to be an hour. I don't know if these guys are up for going longer than 2 hours. We'll have to see. After the break, strategy talk, upcoming tournaments, your questions on Twitter and on Reddit. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in 3 minutes.